this video we're going to look at some more time zone related questions, and we're going to be dealing with comparing two different time zones for different cities that have without having the common time zone of UTC or GMT be the comparison. So this question asks us to find the time difference between the different cities. So if we look at question A, we are comparing UTC 11 to UTC plus 5. So Vanuatu has a gap, has a time zone of plus 11, and Kolkata has a time zone of plus 5. So if we compare the two, we can do 11 minus 5, which equals 6. So there's a 6-hour difference between them. So time in Calcutta is 6 hours before the time in Vanuatu. So this will be 6 hours difference. And we can do this for all of them. So if we compare Denver to Montevideo, we can see that in Montevideo it is -3 and in Denver it is -7. So what does that mean? It means that there is a gap of, well, -3 minus 7, and a negative minus a negative is a positive. So -3 plus 7 is going to be equal to 4 hours, which makes sense because whatever is occurring in Montevideo, the difference is this Denver occurs 4 hours before it. 4 hours after it. So -3, -4, -5, -6, and -7. So there's a gap of 4 hours. What do we have in this one? We have Bangkok with a time zone of +7 and Boston with a time zone of -5. So there's quite a large gap here, but we can work out the difference by taking 7 minus -5, which is going to be equal to 7 plus 5, which is going to be equal to 12 hours. There's a 12-hour gap between them, and this makes sense because there's a 7-hour gap between Bangkok and GMT or UTC time, and then we go back another further 5 to get to Boston time. So we add those two together. In part D, we have Phoenix and Madrid, with Madrid being 1 hour after UTC and Phoenix being 7 hours before it. So we have 7 hours to make up to until we get to UTC, and then we have an extra hour on top. So if we go 1 minus -7, we should be getting an 8-hour gap. But we can see that an easy way to think about this is to compare everything back to UTC. So for Phoenix to get back to UTC, it's at -7. So to get back to UTC, we have to plus 7. And then Madrid is UTC plus 1, so we'd have to add another hour, which is 8 hours. And we can do this for every single one as well. If we have Denver, which is UTC -7 as well, then to get back to UTC, we'd have to add 7. And then if we have Montevideo, which is -3, to get from Montevideo to get to our UTC now back to Montevideo, we have to -3, which is going to be 4 hours, which is what we got for B. So that's an easier way to think about it. Either way works. Just make sure that you are taking care and making sure that the difference actually makes sense. So check it afterwards, see if it makes sense, and just make sure you're being careful. I hope this video was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.